Hey there! Welcome to SkyGems Academy podcast. At SkyGems Academy, our vision is to build a community of new generation leaders with strong core values, high level of self-awareness, high self-worth, and passionate individuals who will give back to the community and the environment. We are focused on delivering high-quality blended online learning of 21st century life skills delivered and taught online, practiced and perfected offline. Our philosophy is to inspire, educate, and nurture. We work towards inspiring and igniting sparks. We listen, we coach, we fine-tune and accelerate the mastery of 21st century life skills for various age groups. Our blended learning programs are curated from the early years to above 60 years old, as we believe in providing high-quality, lifelong learning for everyone. SkyGems Academy Podcast Series 1: How COVID-19 Transformed the Education Industry. We will take you inside the minds and behind the scenes of 40 exclusive leaders and educators in the education industry. We've interviewed 40 exclusive educators and leaders in the education industry worldwide, starting with China, where the pandemic initially started. You will hear from the leaders in the education industry sharing candidly their views on the possible changes that will take place in the education industry post-COVID-19. Be sure to tune in to SkyGems Academy Podcast Series 1 to listen and learn from the amazing stories, experiences shared, challenges faced, and techniques used by educators in different cities and countries to adapt and overcome their challenges personally as well as professionally in their respective roles in the education industry during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, let's dive into SkyGems Academy Podcast Series 1. Introducing to you our host, Alyssa.
Hey guys, it's Alyssa. Hope everyone is keeping well. SkyGems Academy Podcast is a passion project that my team and I kicked off in early 2020. As we are all facing the unprecedented events and experiences impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, we find that there is an urgent need to unite the global community of educators and leaders to progress forward together. Our main objective is to create a platform for all global leaders and global communities to come together to document these historic moments for our future generations. SkyGems Academy Podcast is a platform for everyone from all around the world to share, listen, learn, communicate, collaborate, and come together to network and help one another to pull through this very challenging period that has impacted the global community. In each episode of SkyGems Academy Podcast Series 1, How COVID-19 Transformed the Education Industry, you will find yourself immersed and engaged in in-depth discussions and thought leadership in various aspects of education, technology, humanity, diversity, disparity, and collaborations in the education space. We are very grateful and sincerely appreciate each and every one of you who has motivated us, encouraged us, contributed in your own very special ways, especially our 40 exclusive guest speakers from all around the world. A big thank you to all and a big shout out to all of you. SkyGems Academy Podcast 18th speaker is Khadijah Tou Tou. She is better known as Tou Tou. Tou Tou has been in the education industry for more than 12 years. She started at 16 years old during her high school days, working part-time as a Montessori teacher. She has experience teaching ESL in training schools to both children and adults, created readers, theatre, drama workshops to middle school students, and hosts various mental health workshops. She is currently an IB/PYP teacher and Student Representative Council Advisor at Shanghai World Foreign Language Primary School. Tou Tou is mostly known for her enthusiasm and optimistic attitude in the classroom, implementing agency, is an important practice in a pedagogy because it encourages independent inquiry and self-efficacy. She believes her greatest asset in teaching are her relationships with her students, parents, and co-teacher. She suggests that education should be taken from an "it takes a village" perspective. Toto also loves to participate in professional development (PD) opportunities where she takes full advantage of networking. Her latest PD was at Harvard University, where she gained a certificate in teaching students to ask their own questions. She knows the greater she can expand her own mind, she will be able to teach students how to do the same. Toto is passionate about diversity and inclusion within the education system, and her works outside of school are reflective of that. She is the host of the podcast In Trance, a producer and a screenwriter for playwrights, an author, a Reiki healer, a gifted speaker, an improvisation artist, and a singer with the voice of an angel. I quote and unquote Toto. What can I say? I love the arts. I think it was a great awakening because during this pandemic, there are problems. Your leaders start to come out. That's where your innovators start to come out because they are solution-based, right? So because of that, I think it requires us to be everything that we ask our students to be, said Toto. Now, I'm pleased to introduce you to Khadijah Tou Tou. Today, we have the honor and privilege to have a very special guest, and she is all the way from North Virginia, Washington, D.C. in the USA. Welcome, Toto. Welcome to SkyGems Podcast. A very good morning to you. How are you doing today?
Good morning, good evening to you, Alyssa. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you, Toto. So nice to have you on the show. Really, really warm welcome. And thank you. Thank you for your time and your passion.
Thank you. Thank you for having this.
No, our pleasure. Thank you, Toto. Toto, maybe it'd be nice if you could share and introduce yourself to the audience today.
Okay, sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Khadijah Tou Tou. I am from Virginia, USA, and I live in Shanghai, China. I've been there for 5 years now. Since COVID happened, I came home for Chinese New Year, which is in Virginia near Washington, D.C., and I have been here for the past 6 months. So this is the longest that I've been home in 5 years. And it is a culture shock and a huge adjustment.
Wow. Long due to be back home. And I think long due to be adjusting well in the environment that you used to live for many years. And since January, when you're back from Shanghai into Virginia, Washington, D.C., would you be able to share with us, Toto, how do you feel about the current COVID-19 pandemic situation that unfolds right in front of your eyes from China to the US?
Well, you know, when it happened in January, it happened, I'm sure, prior to that. But when it really started getting big, that's when I was headed home. So on the plane ride, I didn't even wear a mask because it wasn't advertised as being like that big yet. And then getting off the plane, you know, you see all these numbers and just the news going crazy. But I do remember specifically in China, like especially being connected with my friends, you know, they handled it amazing with the masks, the temperature checks, sanitizing the cities, making sure that people stayed in the house. And when I got home, it was totally different. You know, I tried to tell people what was happening and how they can, you know, caution themselves. But everyone was like, no, it's not like that. I'm like, I'm telling you, like the source is from China. So, you know, this is what they're doing and it seems to be successful. That's probably what we should do. But of course, it's kind of difficult to tell people about something that they don't know about and actually listen because you're not the expert in it. So I think it's something the world's dealing with. And it's not just one country, it's the whole world. So in regards to coping with it, I think everyone's coping with it together. But what I do like seeing is the collaboration, like especially like with China and Italy when theirs got really bad. And I think one of the key things is that collaboration, because in order to get rid of this, it has to be everyone kind of on one accord. And for me, I think human life is more important than an economy. So people have to be willing to take the risk for short term, for, long-term impact.
Fully agree with you. Stay united as a community and really fight this war together, this battle together. And together we will come up a lot stronger as one community. So very well said there, Toto. Thank you so much for sharing. What are the challenges that you faced during this period of time? Could you share with us?
Some challenges I faced. Well, the number one challenge was being away from my students. That's been really difficult for me. I knew that I was close to my students, but I didn't realize I really have a great relationship with my students, my parents. I mean, my parents have offered to send masks to me in the US because the US didn't have masks at one point in time. The students, they've been asking me, where am I? And really taking the time to call me and ask me how I'm doing and video calls. So aside from the academics, it's just that personal relationship with them that I miss, and having normal conversations about what excites them. On the other hand, being back in America itself is a huge challenge because I feel like I'm forced to repatriate, and it's something that I haven't done in over 5 years. Because I'm quarantined, I'm still not necessarily doing because there's social distancing. So it's kind of just still having the mindset of being in China, but displaced in the USA. And another challenge is being 12 hours behind. So oftentimes I stay awake until 2 a.m., sometimes 3 a.m., depending on the demands of the school, because there's still lesson planning, there's still things to do. So I try to get my work done and make sure that I answer to my students in time for them, because I noticed in the beginning, I was kind of going by this schedule, but then they were missing stuff. And then by the time I'd communicate, it was the next day. So usually in America, I'm waking up maybe at noon, but I'll go to bed maybe at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m.
That is tough. That is really tough. Basically, your time is, you follow Asia time zone, right? Rather than the US time zone.
The Asia work time.
The Asia work time. That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. That is really challenging. Besides waking up later and sleeping a bit later, what other changes you have to make in order to adapt to those changes and the challenges that you are facing?
For me, changing the schedule was actually quite easy. Because it's just a matter of time and making sure the sleep schedule's right. But I do think in regards to spending time with family, it can be a bit challenging because I'm home too, right? So my family kind of expects me to still socialize and be with them. But at the same time, if I have classes at 8 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night, I have to close the door and kind of be cut off. And then during the daytime, it's kind of like me lesson planning, or trying to get material or trying to record. So for them, when they see me awake, it's kind of like, okay, we have 3 or 4 hours to spend together, which is usually dinner time and a little bit before. But otherwise, it's more of us adjusting to each other's schedules.
So kind of give and take, compromise in terms of what each other is doing during this period is very important.
For sure.
For sure. I really believe in that. In terms of those challenges that you come across and the changes that you make and the way you overcome them, what are the key lessons you have learned so far, Toto? Are you able to share with us?
So a few things that I had to learn is technology. The technology has been amazing in assisting the continuation of classes and learning how to use screen recorders to record lessons, collaborating and communicating with my teaching staff, making sure that we're all on one accord and teaching and sharing our own lessons and hearing feedback from my students. It was comfortable to hear that they actually enjoyed learning online. So that was quite telling for me. And I'd say the students were quick and enthusiastic.
Nice. So
I had no idea that they knew how to use the technology as well as they did. And they do know. So my huge question to myself is, am I being as effective as I could be? And on a technological side, that's my number one question for myself is I probably should be sending more homework involving technology if possible because they know how to work it and they have fun doing it. And another lesson learned for me is how great and amazing my co-teacher is. He's super amazing
Wow.
and helpful and always provides support during parent communication. So we work as a team at my school,
That's
each grade
nice.
level. And so we communicate. So my teaching team has been great. Like we all have diverse ideas and thoughts, and they've been great. But my co-teacher has been awesome, even in helping to have the lessons, because I still have my lessons with my students.
How do you
So
conduct those lessons? Is it online or which medium do you use?
yeah, it's online. So funny enough, what we do is he connects the iPad to the classroom and it's on the smart board. Then he has a microphone. So each
Wow.
student comes up. We still do the same activities. They're still doing group activities. I'm still able to facilitate. It's just I'm on the screen. And the students actually agreed to do that because they were like, no, we don't want other teachers to teach us. We miss you.
Oh, so sweet.
So because of that, they actually listen. Like when it's time, we had a strong foundation of classroom procedure and routines.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, it was the same going back. It just is, I'm not physically there, but I'm still
Wow.
giving class points. I'm still engaging them in activities. I'm still asking them questions, and it's very student led.
So really very much business as usual. It's just that you're not physically there. That's it, isn't it?
Yes.
Wow,
Yes.
that's great. And I'm sure the kids misses you, which is why they keep looking for you and all. But at least they still see you on a quite a daily basis during lessons. They get to talk to you and work with you. So that is good. So they don't miss that connection with you. Just that you're not physically there. They still get connected to you online.
Yeah, and they're great. They're great. It's amazing to me how much these children know. And my students are in third grade. They're
Oh,
not
so sweet.
they're not in fifth grade or anything. Like they're in third grade. So it's just amazing to see what they know.
Fantastic. That's really great lessons that you have learned and also shared with us. We will be able to value to what we learned and what we can do in the future. Thank you, Toto, for sharing.
Thank you.
In the COVID-19 situation that we are all in, it's a totally unprecedented. It has changed the education industry pretty significantly. In fact, it has transformed us. In your views, what are the changes that you think will take place post COVID-19 in the education industry?
I think post COVID-19 in the education industry, there will be more value on courses online. I think there will be more willingness to have courses online to supplement teachers. I think it would be a great idea. I like being kind of creative and on edge, but I think it would be an excellent idea if, the same way that we've been doing this currently, like if even we as teachers could prepare lessons for winter holiday, for, the long holidays, if we could prepare and do the lessons like we do now, except not necessarily grade and have an automatic grading system, I think it would be great. I think it should be continued. We should continue working with IT and engineering people. So I think there's a lot of great things that could come out of this. I just think we need to be more creative in our demands as teachers, as educators, in order to have an engineering team do innovative things. It has to come from us because we need to give them a solution that we propose that works for us.
So the content will come from the educators, but you need to collaborate and work hand in hand with the technology team, the IT team, to ensure that this delivered to the students over technology so that they are able to access to it as and when they want during that specific period of time. That's
Yes,
fantastic. Wow.
exactly.
That is really innovative and creative in terms of your thoughts and post COVID-19, how that could support the students and also the educators in terms of their learning and teaching journey. Yeah, and I think it's all about being creative and think differently and change the way we do things versus following what we have been doing for the longest time in the education industry. It's really great, Toto. Thank you for sharing that. Really appreciate that. Toto, I know that you're still in the US. I know that things are still unfolding in front of you. What would your new normal be when things unfold later on? Or now, in fact, is there a new normal that you're going through?
Yeah, so for me, due to the pandemic, I would say the new normal is constantly being creative and on edge. I'm already usually willing and open-minded and trying to be innovative and creative in regards to carrying out lessons, but it's how to engage and keep everything the same, but not being physically there. So for example, the SRC, which is the Student Representative Council, that I and Miss Brookie at my school, we were both advisors. And basically what we decided to do during this time was have an online magazine so the students could keep base with one another. And it was embraced by the school administration and the teachers and the students. So we got great feedback. And then it became a little project that we decided to do monthly. And I don't think this was necessarily even a pandemic. I think it was a great awakening, because during this process where there's a problem, I think that's where your leaders start to come out. That's where your innovators start to come out, because they're solution based, right? Yes. So because of that, I think it requires us to be everything that we ask of our students to be. And that's important for us to embody everything that we teach them to be. So I think my new normal is to build and keep relationships with teachers, students, parents, and the community. And because it's not something that just impacts an individual, it happens to the world. So I think just keeping an optimistic attitude and training ourselves towards an overall goal would be the new normal.
It's really good that you have really thought through this new normal in terms of that different phases of progress, whether it's individual, as a community, or with the students. So thank you for sharing that new normal that you have, Tou Tou. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're coming to the very important question, and I wanted to make sure that we have a very good discussion over this particular question. Would be, Tou Tou, what is the message or messages that you have for the future generations?
Oh, wow. I love this. I love this question.
Me too.
For future generation, I mean, that's our job as teachers and educators, right? Is we are raising the next generation of society, the next generations of society.
That's right.
I would say don't be afraid to take action, ownership, lead, and exchange ideas, because this is the way of the future. Oftentimes I listen to Jack Ma a lot. Jack Ma is like my person that really inspires me. And he talks a lot about creativity and always being creative, and every single industry needs to be creative. And so for students, I would say always be a learner, always strive towards solutions when focusing on a problem. Don't take it personal, don't get too emotional unless it's passion. For students, train yourselves to utilize your downtime and cater towards community goals while still focusing on your own goal. And for teachers, I would say utilize any extra time that you have to develop professionally and take extra classes and courses that'll challenge your own thinking, so you won't ever forget the experience of school. So I think there's two benefits in that. Is one, the teacher will always be able to relate to their own students because they'll be students still. And then two, I think you can never go wrong with a professional development certificate because it always looks so amazing on resumes.
Always learning, always be curious, and creativity is very important. Being innovative in our way of thinking, in also trying to solve the problems, as you say correctly. There will be challenges in front of us. COVID-19 is just one of it. Clearly a very unprecedented one that we're all facing. We're all still finding ways to resolve it and still not there yet. But in life, there'll be many, many challenges ahead of us. So how do we overcome that? I think what you say is so true. We need to be optimistic. We need to be able to face those challenges and don't be afraid to take actions and creatively try to resolve them. Very well said, Tou Tou. Thank you so much for sharing that wonderful message to the future generations. Thank you so much, Tou Tou.
No, thank you. I just hope to hear it. I hope to hear it.
I am sure they do. Thank you so much, Tou Tou. Thank you so much for your time once again. It's such an honor and pleasure to have you very early morning, your time in the US, to join us in this SkyGems podcast episode. Thank you, Tou Tou, for your time. And I look forward to seeing you in Shanghai very soon.
I look forward to seeing you too. And thank you so much. I'm glad that SkyGems has such a platform for teachers to learn from other teachers. And I think it's awesome. I can't wait to learn and hear what other teachers have. So thank you for having this platform because I think it's totally important.
Thank you, Toto. Thank you so much once again. You have a wonderful day ahead and take good care. Stay safe. See you very soon.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode at SkyGems Academy Podcast Series 1 on the topic of how COVID-19 transformed the education industry. If you enjoyed today's episode and you love the vision and mission of SkyGems Academy, can you please help us to convince others to tune in to SkyGems Academy Podcast too? Please kindly subscribe to SkyGems Academy Podcast. Please also kindly leave a quick review and rate SkyGems Academy Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor.fm, Breaker, and various SkyGems Academy's podcast channels. That would mean the world to us, so thank you so much for your support. Visit our website at www.skygemsacademy.com to find out more about our distinguished speakers and about SkyGems Academy. We appreciate you and your continuous support. Thank you for tuning in to SkyGems Academy Podcast. High five and peace out!